Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvidavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant the first 5 shlokas of chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita.
Arjuna uvacha Jayasi chet karmanaste Mata buddhirjanardana Tat kim karmani ghore mam Niyojayasi keshava Vyamishrini vakyena Buddhim mohayasiva me Tadekam vada nishchitya Yena shreyohamapnuyam Shri Bhagavanuvacha Lokesmin dvividha nishta Pura prokta maya nagha Jnana yogena sankhyanam Karma yogena yoginam Na karmanam anarambha Naishkarmyam purushoshnute Na cha sanyasana deva Siddhim samadhigacchati Nahi kaschit kshanamapi Jatu tishtatya karma krit Karyate hyavashah karma Sarva prakriti jair gunaihi.
Chapter 3 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is entitled as Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means the path of action, the yoga of action. Now, Bhagavad Gita is something that many of us believe that has to be studied after we cross 60 years of our age. We think it's a post-retirement course. Whereas in this Gita, in this body of knowledge, there is a particular chapter dedicated for action. And we need to learn this when we are young, not when we have become old. This chapter has 43 shlokas. Out of 700 shlokas of Gita, 43 shlokas dedicated purely for action. And many other places also he talks about action. In fact, as you all know, Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, samvada between Sri Krishna, the Guru, and Arjuna, the Sishya. So, after having given the second chapter, now second chapter was given by Sri Krishna when Arjuna surrendered to Sri Krishna and said, please tell me what is good for me, how I should function. Then Sri Krishna gave the second chapter entitled as Sankhya Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. After listening to Sri Krishna, now Arjuna is asking a question to Sri Krishna. With that, this third chapter begins. So the very question is, actually, by Arjuna, the question is, you have been emphasizing knowledge, and yet you are forcing me to do action. So what is Arjuna's question to Sri Krishna? You are praising knowledge, but you are forcing me to do action. So from this, what do we understand? Sri Krishna or Bhagavad Gita is not asking us to give up action. So then, of course, when Arjuna asks the question, then Sri Krishna answers, explains everything. We'll look into it in detail. But I'm just giving it at the beginning. The very question with which this chapter begins is by Arjuna, and that is, you have been praising knowledge in the second chapter. Then why are you forcing me to do action, which is to fight this battle? So where is Bhagavad Gita asking us to leave action? Bhagavad Gita never talks about giving up action. Bhagavad Gita is emphasizing giving, dhanam, doing our action as a giving. It never talks about giving up. So all this we will study in detail. Now in this chapter, the action is thoroughly analyzed by Sri Krishna. He first talks about the value of action, importance of action. Why should we act? How we cannot avoid action. Then he talks about the technique of right action. And then he talks about the impediments to right action, how to overcome those impediments. And this he gives in these 43 shlokas. And these 43 shlokas are divided into various topics, totally 6 topics by Swamiji. As I told you, this is not part of the original Gita. It is a research by Swamiji to give us the thought flow. We have to capture the thought flow correctly to be able to understand the subject. Because it is only the understanding that will bring about the transformation. And that's what we are interested in, or rather we should be interested in. So the first 3 shlokas talk about, or rather it introduces the path of action. Because Arjuna asked a question and then Sri Krishna answers. So in the first 3 shlokas, path of action is introduced. Introducing the path of action. That is the first topic, first 3 shlokas. Then from shloka number 4 to 19, Sri Krishna appeals to Arjuna intellectually. An intellectual appeal for action. This is the topic. An intellectual appeal for action from verse 4 to 19. Then from 20 to 24, emotional appeals for action is put forth by. So first, Sri Krishna appeals intellectually. The topic is from 4 to 19, an intellectual appeal to action. Then from 20 to 24, emotional appeals for action. He appeals to both the intellect and emotions of Arjuna because we need to have a perfect confluence of mind and intellect. It is very important. We have these 2 equipments which are subtle. What the intellect is convinced about, the mind should feel for it. If there is a perfect confluence between the mind and intellect, then we can excel in our execution. So therefore, there is both intellectual appeal as well as emotional appeal. Then when Arjuna has come to the right frame of mind to be able to grasp the technique of right action, Sri Krishna gives it from verse 25 to 35. Shloka number 25 to 35, Sri Krishna gives the technique of right action. The technique of right action. Now, once you talk about right action, there could be few impediments. What are the impediments that he deals from 36 to 39? Impediments to right action. Verse 36 to 39 is impediments to right action. And then the last shlokas from 40 to 43, way to overcome impediments. How to overcome impediments, way to overcome impediments from 40 to 43. So there is a thorough analysis of action. The first, shloka number 1 to almost shloka number 24, the value of action is emphasized. Why you should act. You should not give up action. And that's why we keep on saying. The irony is such a subject is misunderstood widely as if it is propagating inaction, as if it is propagating laziness, lethargy. In fact, in this country we have Vedas, Bhagavad Gita and many other Gitas, Ashtavakra Gita, Uddhav Gita, Rama Gita, And then we have Upanishads, then we have Brahma Sutra, so many scriptures. In spite of all these scriptures giving us knowledge of life and living, somehow we have fallen into tamas. There is deep, inaction here. And that has to be overcome. We have to understand correctly these scriptures and then overcome the tamas, the laziness, the heedlessness. We need to rise from this. For that, we need to properly understand. So, if you don't understand, it's okay. This also we have discussed many times. If you didn't understand, we will get another opportunity to understand it. But if we misunderstand and we think we have understood it correctly, that's a big, big danger. And that's what is happening. There's a lot of misunderstanding of the scriptures. We have misunderstood the scripture and we think we have understood. And that is why instead of sattva, there's a lot of tamas. So, in fact, in this chapter itself, when Arjuna asks, he talks about, he uses the word contradiction. There seems to be some contradiction. He doesn't say you are talking in contradictory terms. There seems to be some contradiction. Please clarify. So there is a contradiction in our understanding. That is why we are behaving like this. So we need to sort that out. So in the second chapter, if you see, after Arjuna surrendered, Sri Krishna straight away gave the highest knowledge. Sri Krishna straight away gave the highest knowledge. He talked about the difference between Atma and Atma. He gave Atma Anatma Viveka. The highest knowledge he gave. Self and non-self. All that he discussed in detail. And then little bit he touches on Karma Yoga. He criticizes karma. He touches Karma Yoga. And then he goes into Jnanam again. And Arjuna asks a question to talk about the perfect human being with knowledge, enlightened person, and Sri Krishna talks about it. So, overall, if you see in the second chapter, knowledge is praised. Of course, he talks about Karma Yoga, but very few shlokas, right? There are a few shlokas dedicated particularly to criticize action. Action meaning karma. There is a word called karma. There's a word we use called Karma Yoga and Jnanam Jnana Yoga. So Sri Krishna criticizes karma. He never criticizes Karma Yoga. In fact, he recommends Arjuna, all of us, to do Karma Yoga. Then of course he praises Jnana Yoga and attainment of moksha and all that. So after having heard all this, Arjuna is getting a doubt. And thanks to Arjuna, because we may not be studying regularly on a weekly basis, but Arjuna has been hearing Sri Krishna. The fact that Arjuna is asking a question, he's been listening, he's been hearing, but maybe he did not understand everything correctly, therefore he is clarifying. So that's what he does in the first shloka. So he is heard Sri Krishna and he thinks something is not connecting properly. There is some mismatch. So he wants clarification. That is how this chapter begins, with Arjuna's question. In fact, he talks for the first two shlokas. Shloka number 1 and shloka number 2 is spoken by Arjuna. Then from 3 only, Sri Krishna gives the answer. So let's chant shloka number 1 and 2 together.
Arjuna uvacha Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava vyamishrini vavakyena buddhim mohayasi vame तदेकं वद निश्चित्य येन श्रेयोऽहमाप्नुयाम्.
Arjuna Vacha. Arjuna said. Arjuna asked a question to Sri Krishna. He addresses Sri Krishna as Janardana. Jayasi chet karma naste mata buddhir Janardana. O Janardana, if you consider knowledge superior to action, Jayasi chet karma naste mata buddhir Janardana. If in your opinion you consider knowledge to be superior to action, tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi keshava. He uses another name to address Sri Krishna here. He calls him as Keshava. O Keshava, O Krishna, then why do you, O Keshava, engage me in terrible action? Gora karma. He's saying, O Janardana, O Krishna, O Keshava, O Krishna. Two names he uses. You seem to be praising knowledge over action. In comparison to action, you are praising knowledge. Then why are you forcing me to do? He adds an adjective. Gora karma. It doesn't say just action. Gora karma. Because the karma that he is asked to do now is to fight the battle as a Kshatriya. And in fighting the battle, he is involved in killing, which he calls as Gora karma. And that also, not everyone on the other camp is bad. Some of them are very good people. So he had to kill good people. So he is saying, Are Baba, this is really, really terrible. So he says, Gora karma. Why are you forcing me to do Gora karma? O Keshava. Why then do you, O Keshava, engage me in terrible action? Keshava means killer of demon, Keshi. Janardana means protector of people. So you can take it as, are you the protector or the killer? It could be taken that way. Also, there is another interesting meaning for the word Janardana. Jananam means birth. Ardhana means one who destroys the reason for birth or samsara, the vasanas. This is knowledge, and that is Sri Krishna. So, Arjuna is asking Sri Krishna, saying, I should be protecting, you should be helping me to protect Dharma. But here I have to kill, and you also have been praising knowledge, then why are you forcing me to do this Gora karma? Tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi keshava. Then he continues, Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nishchitya ena shreyoham apnuyam. Now, in this, he clarifies, because it is as if Arjuna is criticizing Sri Krishna. You know, when you heard the first shloka, as if Sri Krishna is criticized by Arjuna, student criticizing the Guru. So he clarifies, he says, with an apparently perplexing speech. The important word here is apparently. In Sanskrit, it is iva. As though, like. Vyamishreneva. Understand? Vyamishreneva means as though contradictory. It's not contradictory. You are not speaking in contradictory terms. Sri Krishna is not accused by the Shishya here. Shishya does not accuse the Guru. He says, listen, I heard you. Now, when he says, I heard you, he might have not heard it fully, or he might have not understood everything. Right? So he says, he's clarifying that. So he says, Yamishreneva vakyena, apparently contradicting statement. Yamishreneva vakyena, buddhim mohayasiva me. My buddhi is confused as it were. So he says, with an apparently perplexing speech, you confuse as it were my understanding. Again he puts as it were. Tell me with certainty, tadekam vadanishchitya. Tell me with certainty, ena shreyoham apnuyam. What is good for me? When he surrendered in the second chapter, when when Arjuna surrendered to Sri Krishna in the second chapter, verse 7, there also he used the word Shreya, isn't it? Karpanya dosha upahata swabhavaha prichamitvam dharma sammuda chetaha yashreyasya nishitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Yashreya. There also he asked. Here also he is asking. He is saying the same thing. Yamishrene vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nishchitya ena shreyoham apnuyam. He says, Shreya, Shreya, Shreya. He goes on. What is good for me? Tell me with certainty. Don't confuse me further. Don't confuse me further means use or give more explanation. So that my confusion due to my lack of manan, reflection. Maybe I have confused myself. So please give me more explanation to clarify that. That is what it is. So Arjuna has Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. It's not blind faith. Whatever you say, I'll follow. No. That's why he's questioning. Right? But at the same time, he's not accusing him. It's not that he doesn't have Shraddha. What are you blabbering, man? He's not talking like that. You understand? He's talking with tremendous devotion. See, if the devotion is not there, it's impossible to grasp the knowledge. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if you go to somebody, you should have that devotion with that person. Otherwise, you better go to somebody else with whom you have devotion. Because otherwise, everything you will be listening with suspicion. What is this fellow talking? You understand? So, therefore, in fact, when you go to Ashtavakra Gita, the Guru is Sage Ashtavakra, who is only 12 years old. And the Sishya is King Janaka. I don't know how old he was. Let's say 50 or 60. The age difference is so much. Right? In spite of it, King Janaka has tremendous Shraddha. So it is that Shraddha that will make us gain the knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, says Gita also later on. So Arjuna is asking with that Shraddha. That is to be understood here. So he says, O Janardana, O Keshava, you have been praising knowledge. Yet you are compelling me to do action. I am confused. Please tell me what I should do. Clarify this. Now let's get on to what Sri Krishna said in the second chapter. No doubt, when Sri Krishna started talking from verse number 11, what did Sri Krishna do? He was emphasizing on knowledge, isn't it? We discussed this, if you remember. Arjuna is suffering from a disease called Arjuna disease. What is that? Attachment. And the solution for that is Krishna cure. What is that? Knowledge of the self. Since we do not know our original nature, we imagine ourselves to be this limited individual, XYZ, this Nama Rupa, which is limited. Since we identify with this limitation, there is a sense of insecurity. This sense of insecurity, no doubt, is imaginary. But the fact that we have got that sense of insecurity, our thoughts run towards the world outside to gain the worldly objects and beings and bring that security. Isn't it? So, these thoughts, when they run from us to the world outside, in the beginning, it's called as attachment, sangha. Then it's called as desire, right? Kama. So, the attachment, the moment attachment comes, there is sorrow. As long as we are attached, there will be suffering. And attachment comes due to ignorance of the self. And the direct antidote for the ignorance of the self is knowledge of the self. And that is what Sri Krishna gave. So first, he started off by giving the highest philosophy, knowledge of the self. Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Then of course he said, with this knowledge, you do your duty. He did give shlokas. If you remember, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. Tato yuddhaya yujyasva. Na evam papama vapsyasi. Then plunge into yuddha, action. Having balanced yourself in both sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, jaya, ajaya. In all this, sukha, dukkha means pleasure and pain. Jaya, vijaya means, sorry, jaya, ajaya means victory and defeat. Then labha, alabha, profit, loss. In all this, you be balanced. Meaning, don't think about the result, man. Just be focused what you have to do. Identify yourself as Atma and having manifested in this body with a certain vasanas, with certain nature, go about executing your duty as per your nature. Then there is no papam. Then there is no sin. You will not incur vasanas. All this he discussed. But immediately he comes and says, from verse number 41 to 44 in chapter 2, he said, Pushpitam Vacham. He uses the word Pushpitam Vacham. He's saying people misquote Veda. So he says, when he, in this portion from 41 to 44, he criticizes action. He is criticizing karma. In the sense, in the Veda Purva Bhaga, if you remember correctly, we discussed all these things. Vedas have two parts, basically 4 parts: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and then Upanishads. Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka put together, the first part we say, Veda Purva Bhaga, where the emphasis is on rituals, karma. It's called Karma Kanda portion. Then the last portion is called Upanishads, where he gives the philosophy, knowledge, Jnana Kanda. Karma Kanda, Jnana Kanda. So he said, people give themselves to this Karma Kanda and then go about doing karma mechanically. So he said, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. He says, he gave the example of a pond. What is the use of the pond? When the whole village is flooded. Already explained, you remember? In those slokas. Then 45, 46 he talks about it. Then in 47 he comes to Karbanye Vadikaraste Mahapaleshu Kadachana. And so in other words, Arjuna has been listening to Sri Krishna. So he saw that Sri Krishna is going on praising knowledge, and in some places he's criticized action, and he then went on to Siddha Prajna, enlightened person. So he didn't really understand, it didn't connect it properly. That's why we need to do manana. See, when we say Jnana Yoga, there are 3 aspects to Jnana Yoga, 3 sadhanas in Jnana Yoga. What are they? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening. Manana means reflecting. Nididhyasana means meditation or repeated assimilation of what has been heard after proper understanding. So, first phase, we have to remove the ignorance. Ignorance can be removed only through knowledge. And the first phase of ignorance is I don't know. That is removed through listening or reading. The second phase of ignorance is I don't understand. That is removed through what? I don't understand has to be removed through proper understanding, reflecting. Then I don't have an experience. I understand, but I haven't got the experience. So that is the final stage. And that is done through meditation, constant assimilation, remaining in a certain nishta, certain lifestyle, with certain disciplines, till the jnana siddhi happens. So Arjuna heard, Shravana hua tha, but manan mein kuch gadbad ho gaya. You understand? Therefore this confusion. That's why he says, as it were, all that he himself is saying. So Sri Krishna said, he in fact criticized karma heavily, doing actions mechanically for the sake of gaining punya. Understand? What is there? He emphasized all that. People will say, what is there? Vedas themselves say, do this. So we are doing this. So they get mechanically involved in action, just going on doing their duty. A lot of people say, listen, I live my life dharmically. What is the need to study Gita? I am doing my actions properly. What is the need to study Gita? There is a need to gain knowledge, whether it is through Gita or through any other way. There is a need to awaken your awareness. Action per se cannot give us moksha. This we need to understand. In the Atma Bodha, beautifully Adi Shankara explains this. In fact, we chant this every morning in the ashram. We wake up 4:15 there, and then we have a small prayer. Then we chant Atma Bodha's few shlokas. In that this particular shloka comes, where Adi Shankara says, Pakasya vanniva jnanam vina moksho na siddhyati. Means what? Just like how for cooking, fire is the direct means. Everything else is indirect. You buy the vegetables from the shop, you clean them, you nicely, you remove the skin, you chop it, and then you marinate, you do all that. But finally, you have to put it in fire, cook it. Then you can eat it. Similarly, all other sadhanas, action and all that are indirect. Direct is knowledge. Because the problem is ignorance. But for the knowledge to be gained, you need to have a what? Qualified mind. If you have a very disturbed mind, if you have a very disturbed mind, this knowledge won't go in. In fact, you may wrongly understand also. In fact, if the knowledge goes in correctly, you should be gaining vinaya. Through vidya, you should develop vinaya. Vinaya means humility. But without qualification, if you gain the knowledge, instead of vinaya, you will become very arrogant. It's very dangerous. This is what happened to so many people. They, instead of becoming with Deva Sampat, you will develop Asura Sampati. Because you have this knowledge. See, if you have the knowledge, you will say how I can use this knowledge and uplift the society. If you have not got the knowledge properly, you will say how I can use this information to benefit myself more than anybody else. Isn't it? First information advantage I will have. I have that, so let me use it. So, therefore, he says, you have to be qualified. That all that Sri Krishna will explain. So, Arjuna was told, listen, karma should not be done mechanically. That he criticized, but that he didn't understand. So, therefore, you have to do karma with this knowledge as karma yoga. Correct? As karma yoga, then you will qualify to gain knowledge, and through knowledge you will attain moksha. This is what Sri Krishna explained. But Arjuna did not understand it that way. Therefore, this question. Thanks to Arjuna, we get another chance to look at the thought flow properly. So, what is the thought flow? We have to do the action, but not mechanically. Not mechanically. We have to do it with awareness, with this knowledge, dedicating it for the higher. We have to do the action because Sri Krishna himself said, Karmani eva adhikaraha. He already said no. Verse number 47, chapter 2. You have right only to do the action. Karmani eva adhikaraha ma phaleshu kadachana. Never to the fruit. All that he explained. So he emphasized on Karma Yoga. But in the second chapter, lot more was talked about Jnana Yoga. So Arjuna thought he is already ready for Jnana Yoga. We should not be sitting and fighting this battle and all that. You also emphasized on knowledge. I should be getting there. Then why are you confusing me? This is his question. You understand why this question is coming? Why Arjuna is asking this question? So at least Arjuna is listening. Right? But he is not able to connect things properly. So, Sri Krishna emphasizes knowledge, praises knowledge, criticizes action, then he introduces Karma Yoga a little bit in the second chapter itself. Then he says, with Chitta Shuddhi that you will attain through Karma Yoga, you will gain knowledge, and through knowledge, you will get liberation, become enlightened. Then Arjuna asked, please talk about a person who is enlightened. Then Sri Krishna talked about person who is enlightened. How to attain that enlightenment? He said you can attain that enlightenment through sense control, mind control, knowledge, and all that. Everything he explained. But in between, conveniently, Arjuna did not connect this properly. What is that? There is something called as karma yoga. I can go from karma to jnanam only by doing karma as karma yoga. And this is the reason why Arjuna is confused and is asking this question. And then Sri Krishna beautifully answers. Let's get on to sloka number 3.
श्रीभगवानुवाच लोकेऽस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघ ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानां कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्.
Sri Krishna says, Asmin loke. Asmin loke means in this world. Asmin loke dvivida nishta. In this world, there is a twofold path. Dvivida nishta. Path is singular. Nishta is a singular word, path. But dvivida means twofold path. Only one path. And in that path, there is twofold. So, asmin loke dvivida nishta pura prokta maya naga. I said this before, O Anaga, O pure person, O Arjuna, very pure you are, sinless fellow. See, there has to be lot of adjectives in the conversation. Only then the knowledge can go in. So, he's saying Anaga, and generally also, Arjuna is a very pure person. So he says, Anaga, O sinless fellow. Then he says, Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. The path of knowledge for the Sankhyas, contemplative, and the path of action for the yogis, active category of people. See, all of us are nothing but a bundle of vasanas. Isn't it? All of us are nothing but a bundle of vasanas. It's like, sometimes, the flight is overbooked. When the flight is overbooked, they announce, if there are somebody who can take this option of flying in another flight, we'll give you these benefits, etc. So when there is too much, you cannot fly, you can't take off. So you have to offload. So when there are too many vasanas, you need to offload the vasanas for you to take off. Isn't it? So in the beginning, we need to remove the vasanas. Remember that formula we discussed. What is that formula? God plus vasanas equals human beings. Human beings minus vasanas equals God. So to take off and land in divinity, from being human, we need to take off and land in divinity. To be able to land in divinity, and for that we need to first take off. And for taking off, we need to offload the vasanas. And when we have too many vasanas, due to too many vasanas, what will happen? Our mind will be very active, which will make our body also active. Isn't it? It will go helter-skelter. We have too many desires, so we'll be constantly restless and running around in the world. And a person who is too, restless and active, how can you suddenly say, sit down and listen, meditate, He'll go mad. He'll go mad and he'll drive you mad after some time. So therefore, slowly, the person needs to evolve to that level. So he says, Asmin loke dvida nishta. It's a twofold path. First path, it's not first path, sorry, first, what do you call? First portion of the path. There's a second portion of the path. First portion of the path is when you have too many vasanas. When you have too many vasanas, you are considered as an active person. Remember, vasana, thought, desire, action. That is the chronology of action. We discussed this also. From the vasanas come thought. From thought comes desire. From desire comes action. If there is no desire, there can be no action. If there is no thought, there can be no desire. If there was no vasanas, how can there be thoughts? So everything comes from vasanas. So this is the chronology of action. Vasana, thought, desire, action. Since you have too many vasanas, too many actions, restless, you can't sit and absorb the knowledge. Somewhere down the line, we've got a wrong identification about ourselves. For that to be seen properly, there has to be quietude within. All that Vedanta is saying is, you're already perfect. You're already the divinity. You're already the supreme reality. But you are now thinking yourself to be this individual. So this delusion has to be corrected. You have to see it properly. Just by listening so many lectures doesn't mean that you will start thinking that yes, now on, I'm divinity. It's not going to happen. You have to see it. Scriptures are showing you the mirror. Looking into the mirror, you have to see it. Once you see it, you will change. Till then, nothing will change. So for you to see it, you have to be in a proper frame of mind. You get it? So therefore, knowledge cannot be given to a person who is not yet qualified, who hasn't got some level of renunciation. It's not possible. Supposing you come and say, I will attend these classes and all that, I will sit in the class, but I will not put myself in mute. I will not switch off the phone or put it in silent mode. Why you want to come then? Why don't you? Every now and then one phone call will come, I'll answer. Not only I will answer, I will not go out and answer. I'll answer in the class itself. And if you have too many things to attend, ठीक है, attend करो, बाद में आ जाओ. Nothing. I mean, what's the big deal? Remember, in spirituality, no matter in life itself, especially in spirituality, we need a lot of patience. In nature, you need a lot of patience. When you go to take picture of a peacock or something dancing, you have to wait. You don't know when the peacock will dance, how long it will dance. You can't tell peacock, come on, dance. I'll take care of you for the rest of your life. Peacock is not going to dance. Peacock will dance when he will get into mood. So you have to wait. Be patient in nature. We have said this also in the class. If you are in a hurry, you can never meet Hari. You can never meet Hari. You cannot be in a hurry. You have to be quiet. Calm down. No, you have that song, no? Calm down, calm down. There's one song. So like that you have to become calm down. So that's why he says, for active people, I have given path of action, karma, yoga. I can't tell them don't do action. They have to act. But not the way they have been acting before. How they have been acting? Result oriented. For something or the other, looking for the result, they are doing. Selfishly, they are acting. So I told them do karma yoga. And when we said karma yoga, we said two important aspects are there in karma yoga. Can anyone say what they are? What are the two important aspects we discussed in karma yoga? How the action has to be done in karma yoga? Anybody?
Selflessly, without attachment to the karma.
Correct. That selflessly, what is the word?
No desire for fruit.
Arpana bhava, with an attitude of dedication for a higher purpose. That's called arpana bhava. And then whatever comes out of it, accept it as prasad. You remember these two we discussed. Arpana bhav, prasada buddhi. This is important. So once I do the action, I need to do because vasanas are there. That's why he says, for active category of people, karma yoga, meaning extroverted person, karma yoga. Then for Sankhya's, introverted people, karma yoga. Sorry, introverted people, jnana yoga. For active people, karma yoga. Introverted people, jnana yoga. He beautifully says. Why? Because that person has to first sit down, be quiet. Then he will be able to see, oh, this is where I have made the mistake. Lot of examples the scriptures give. In the Atma Bodha, Adi Shankara gives too many examples. Almost every shloka has example. One of the examples, if you see in the scriptures, is we see the sky and think the moon is moving, while actually the clouds are moving, isn't it? Clouds are moving, we think the moon is moving. Now, when you quieten yourself, then you say, clouds are moving, moon is not moving. You'll understand that correctly. So, first we need to bring ourselves to that quietude. Till then, we need to involve ourselves in action, but dedicated action, not mechanical and mechanical selfish action. Egocentric and egoistic attitude se kaam nahi karna. We have to dedicate the ego, surrender the ego and dedicate our actions for a higher purpose and then do so that we achieve Chitta Shuddhi. With Chitta Shuddhi, we gain the knowledge. And when the Guru comes and says, listen, moon is not moving, clouds are moving, then you will be able to see it correctly. That's all it is. So, in spite of we studying so many years, if we have still not understood properly, what do we have to do? We have to do more karma. Please understand, we think we are evolved just because we are 60, 70. I've done so much of, no. Maybe we are doing too many karma, not karma, yoga. You understand? So that is why he says, karma yoga is for active people and jnana yoga for Sankhya's introverted people. Now, karma yoga is a sadhana, right? And those who are doing karma yoga, in what nishta are they in? What lifestyle are they in? Grahastha ashrama. You understand? Grahastha ashrama. And then, being in Grahastha ashrama, you continue doing your actions in the spirit of karma yoga, and then slowly, your mind becomes purified. You develop a lot more, what you call, calmness. You become more balanced. Then you move to another lifestyle. What is that? Sannyasa. Sannyasa lifestyle. Now, so there is one lifestyle called Grahastha lifestyle, another lifestyle called Sannyasa lifestyle. Grahastha lifestyle is active lifestyle. Sannyasa lifestyle is, don't say inactive lifestyle, contemplative lifestyle. The more emphasis on contemplation. Whatever little they have to do to take care of the body, the place, those things they do. Then they sit down and focus more on the higher, reflecting, researching, etc. You understand? So, active lifestyle and then contemplative lifestyle. Pravritti marga, nivritti marga. Pravritti marga means active lifestyle. Nivritti Marga means contemplative lifestyle. So in the beginning, you have to go through Pravritti Marga, which is Grahastha Ashrama, reduce the bulk of your vasanas, develop more maturity, balance, remain a true renunciate from within, develop that mental maturity, and then get into knowledge, contemplate, and then see the truth as it is, attain moksha. That's what it is. So both the paths, or rather both the sadhanas, that is karma, karma yoga and jnana yoga, lead to what? Moksha. Right. But more specifically, karma yoga will lead you to attain yogyata for jnanam. Yogyata means you become qualified to gain jnanam. That is the goal of karma yoga. And then, having become the yogyata for knowledge, you gain the knowledge and then you attain moksha. So now, a lot of people say, Arey, listen, I have not become sannyasi. I'm still in the grahastha lifestyle. But then why am I studying, reflecting? Should I do it or not? See, what you need to understand is, when we talk about grahastha and sannyasa as a lifestyle, you need not necessarily take up sannyas just because you become mentally mature. You can continue being in grahastha ashrama and do contemplation. But in spirit, you should have become sannyasi. This is what you need to understand. In spirit, you should have become sannyasi. To that extent, you will be able to contemplate. So that is why he says, Asmin loke dvida anishta pura prokta mayanaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. For active category of people, action. For contemplative category of people, contemplation. Now from this, what is the answer Sri Krishna has given to Arjuna? Okay, you said I am praising knowledge. Yes, I am praising knowledge. And you said I am forcing you to do this action. Yes, I am forcing you to do this action. Why? Because you are still an active person. You are not yet contemplative person. You are not yet contemplative person. Isn't it? Supposing we are all sitting in a spiritual retreat, especially since yesterday IPL started. Now you are sitting in a spiritual retreat. Now, every now and then you will be interested in knowing the score. In fact, it actually happened. I used to be lecturing in another country before. So there was this World Cup, I think 2003 or so, that time, in South Africa. India versus Pakistan match. My class was in the evening from 6:30 or 6:30 to 7:30 or something. No, sorry, 7:30 to 8:30. So we watched half of the match. One of our class members, he booked the hotel for us. We went and we had lunch there and we were watching half of the match. And then I said, listen, we have to go for the class, and we were moving. And these two other class members who were with me watching the match, they came with me, right? So then when we reached that place, the match is still there, right? India was batting. I have my class. I said, listen, enough. I'm now going to cut off from this. I'm going to go for my class. The other fellow also came for the class. This fellow said, sir, you please go start. I will join you after 20 minutes, So he came like that. He came and sat in the class. And then after I finished my invocatory prayer and all that, and I opened my eyes, this fellow came in. He came in and sat down. And then from distance, he's showing me like this. India won the match. So the thing is, these vasanas are there. You might as well finish it and come, na? What is the hurry? That is what Sri Krishna is saying. For active category of people, karma yoga. Then for contemplative people, jnana yoga. To the extent you are active, to that extent you have to follow karma as karma yoga. And to the extent you've become contemplative, to that extent you can do contemplation. This is the beautiful answer Sri Krishna gives. It's very easy to remember this shloka. Lokesmin dvivida nishta pura prokta mayanaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yogina. So the things that you need to understand here is path is only one. Because what is that path? Removing ignorance. You cannot remove ignorance immediately. In stages only you can remove. The first stage is action path. Then contemplation path. Then you will see the truth as it is, removing the delusion. That is all Vedanta is saying. Now, after all this, he will now emphasize the importance of action. Then intellectually he'll appeal, emotionally he'll appeal, then come to the technique of right action in shloka number 30. Though it starts from 25 till 35, shloka number 30 is where he gives the technique of right action. Let's conclude. Oh. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.